Okay, another update on the turbo. So this air cylinder tube that I have is incredibly difficult to weld. The wall thickness on it is 0.034 inches. And even on the lowest heat setting on my MIG welder, I'm blowing through it. My TIG welder, I could not get it. So it's ugly, and I did grinding. So I'll admit to that. I'm obviously not the greatest welder. I never claimed to be. Anyway, the reason I was messing with this pipe is I kicked it inward, so I cut it off of the charge pipe, and there's actually a pie cut in here, and then the pipe, and then there's a this pipe, and then there's a pie cut in the middle to do this. And the reason I did this is it gives me more room for my leg. With it straight back to this, I could get my foot on the peg and I could get my foot on the brake, but not very much. Now I've got the whole thing with this in like that, and it's still protecting that air filter a little bit, so that'll work. I do have another little chunk of pipe to go back to here. I'm still waiting for that 90-degree silicone elbow to get here to know how much pipe I need to add. I don't think I mentioned this in the last video. If I did, oh well. It's covering ugliness because I missed where I had to drill the hole, so this didn't come through it perfectly, so I had to enlarge it. But you see this kind of thing on some hot rods that have through body exhaust or airplanes, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to claim. It's a stylistic choice. In reality, it's covering an ugly hole. So that's what's going on there. As you can see, I've got a steel braided line on here. I've got the cheater AN fitting. These look like AN fittings, but it's actually just an aluminum cover, which keeps the end of this, all the little fraying razor sharp strands of this in there and away from my finger. Actually, there is one that one right there, sticking out of there, got me. I hate working with this stuff. It's worse than fiberglass header wrap. But as you can see, it's just a hose clamp, so it looks like an AN fitting, looks neat, keeps this in check. But I decided to route that back this way around the cold side of the turbo, and then down here to where it will go to the pump, which will supply oil. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. I assume it will. It's the lowest amperage, lowest wattage, gear drive 12-volt pump I could find, and it was only like 30 bucks. So hopefully this will work. If not, I might just go get a diaphragm fuel pump, and they're cheap enough to be disposable. They're like 10 bucks. You can get them in any auto parts store, and they're easy to put in. They're all the same. But I'd like this to work because this will live a lot longer. Because it's a gear pump and it's not a diaphragm that is not meant to pump hot liquid. This is made to pump oil, whereas a fuel pump obviously isn't. But a lot of people use those little fuel pumps on the go-kart turbo projects. The water cooling plate, I just put a plug in there, and then I put a flat-headed centered bronze muffler in there. And the reason for that is this is a cavity. It'll get hot, the air in there will expand. I didn't want a normal plate on there holding all that expanding air in because it might blow seals, so this lets it breathe. Also, I just needed to plug these holes for, I had hose barbs in there. I might still go to water cooling for this, but for the first couple test drives, I'm not gonna bother with it. It's so cold outside right now anyway, it's like 20-30 degrees Fahrenheit normally right now, so I'm not going to worry about water cooling yet, but I might go to that, so that's just so that cavity can breathe. On the bottom here, I don't have both bolts in it, but I've just got a regular 5/16 heavy-duty fuel hose. It's rated for oil or transmission fluid or whatever, but that's the drain that goes along this lower radiator pipe. It goes behind it to keep it away from the header, and then it goes down here. That'll go to the oil tank. Ouch. Oh, I'm getting old. Over here. So this is all stainless steel. and the return, the oil coming from the turbo will go in here, quiet, and this will just be a reservoir. It's right behind the front wheel. It'll be out in the wind. Hopefully that'll help cool it. Then once it goes into here, just holds it with probably about a quart of oil. Quart and a half is what I'm thinking. The colder oil will come out the bottom, out of here, which this will go to the pump. The pump will pump it to the turbo. You're probably asking, what the hell is this? This is an air compressor drain. I need to get a steel square-headed plug for this, or another nice Allen one like I had in the water cooling plate. This is just the only plug I had right now that would work for the drain, so that's probably temporary. And like I said, this is not A1 level fabrication with top shelf parts. It's literally stuff I had laying around. So I've got this, I think it's half, 3/4, half to 1/8 reducer bushing. And then I got a hose barb in it. So this is where I'll fill the oil. And it's also the breather for the tank. So this is just a little, geez, that's on there. Never mind, I was gonna pull this off. This section I just had laying in the parts bin, so I'm going to have to obviously put a longer hose on there, but another sintered bronze muffler. It'll let air breathe in and out of here. And I'll just put that remote location probably up by the radiator somewhere. Keeps the dirt out, lets it breathe, that sort of thing. So where this is going to go is kind of right in front where the skid plate mounts. Like that, and then the pump's going to be over there on the driver's left, in front of the driver's left foot. And the way I'm going to mount all this stuff is the engine mount bolts in the front. This spacer is fixed, but this one and this one and this one, they all come out, and they're just little bushings. So I'm going to take those out, make new ones that I can weld to, or possibly just blast the finish off of those and weld to those. They're only like $2 a piece to buy actual Honda ones. Otherwise, they're just a little spacer. And then I'll come off of those, mount this stuff, or at least mount the tank, I should say. And then over here, these two bolts, I'm going to make a bracket to go between them. And then there would be a piece that comes out to hold the pump, and I'll probably put a couple hose clamps around that to hose clamp it to the bracket. And it'll kind of be, well, it doesn't really matter right now, but it'll kind of be tucked in like that. It doesn't stick out much wider than the engine. And then the one fitting, I'll just straight 90, and it'll go back that way. So that's a plan. If I need to do oil cooling, which I'm sure I probably will if this thing goes, you know, any distance other than around the backyard, what my plan is to take the oil out of the pump and go back here and get an inline tube style oil cooler. You can get them single pass or double pass. I found an 18-inch double pass tube for an oil cooler. I'll put it right back here where the muffler was. So the pump will pump oil into it, and then it'll come out of it and then into the top of the turbo. So that's the plan if I need oil cooling. So another two parts I'm waiting on, the 90 for this, and then the crankcase vent. I just got a little snap-on breather filter for that. So that's where I'm at right now with the whole thing. Next time I'm going to mount that tank. Well, I'm going to leak check it, mount it, and then once I have that mounted, I'm going to go ahead and mount the pump, and then I'm going to run it. Once I have the pump and that mounted, I'll run it, make sure everything works. I'll drive it around the neighborhood a little bit, just blowing air out here, not blowing it into the engine yet. Because I want to make sure the computer kind of relearns the new exhaust, because when you make big exhaust changes, like the first time you ride with a slip-on, like an FMF slip-on, or you change a header in a slip-on, the bike doesn't quite know what to do with it because it's got an established fuel table. It knows these are good values for how I need to run. this is going to mess with it a little bit, and then I'm going to have to retune my Dobek AFR Plus EFI controller a little bit. And then once that's good, boost. So the whole air box right now is sealed except for this. This is where it's pulling air in at. And I've actually still got the factory filter in there, just in case there's something in here, a little piece of silicone or some grinder dust or something that blows in there. I'm just going to leave that factory filter in the air box for now. So, yep, getting close.